Hello, it's Peter from whatculture.com. Joining me, Scott from whatculture.com.
Yep, joining you as someone who's just played the new Zelda for about half an hour. It's brilliant. Ask me things. Ask me anything. Ask me things.
And we're here to do I'm Scott, ask me anything about Zelda. First impressions, that's a nice general question to begin with.
Really, really solid, really good. Until now, I'd not played it, but I've heard a lot of stuff about it. It's just brilliant. They've went in a lot of different directions with it. It's immediately very open world. It has like a Fallout style intro, but you come out of this big tomb thing and you're on the horizon, and it does like the Fallout style, I guess it's Zelda style, open world shot. And they've like repurposed the theme, and you get this little like lush like piano, like plinky plonk version of the key theme thing underneath as you come over the crest of this hill, and it's just gorgeous. Like it's just that Nintendo like the sort of stuff that they just nail. You know that?
Yeah. I was sort of watching over your shoulder.
Yes.
How survivally is it? I mean, there's a stamina bar now.
Yeah.
Tell me about the survival aspect.
Well, so they've amped up a lot of the survival stuff because they want you to spend a lot of time in the open world, but they obviously want to give you some gameplay mechanics to keep track of. So there's a noise meter because you can sneak up on enemies now. You've got a stamina meter in general for running and swimming and stuff. I died quite a bit trying just to swim bodies of water, and if Link runs out of stamina when you're doing that, you just die. Like there's no, because obviously if you run out of stamina when you're running, you'll just hang for a bit, but do it when you're swimming, you'll die. I died quite a lot like that. There's like a day-night cycle, and you can eat stuff. One of the coolest things though in terms of like what survival games have is every enemy now has a loot thing. So everything you defeat, you'll be able to pick up different items, and then you can craft them into different components, which like if you've played like Destiny, The Division, like just pretty much anything with a crafting component, No Man's Sky, like whatever, you'll immediately be like, oh, that's nice, that's something to get stuck into. Like for me, that's just as soon as you realize like, oh, I killed a squidgy thing and it dropped some squidgy weird oil thing, you're just like, I wonder what I can use that in.
Right. One thing I also saw over your shoulder, there is now, were they called runes or something? There's like some kind of power system.
Well, they sort of have, they've not like clarified the story wholeheartedly yet, but they sort of have this whole, they're leaning into this idea that like this is the one Zelda that maybe ties into every other one that's gone before it, in terms of there's certain like different ruins and landmarks and things, and you're joined by this like sage guy called like Old Man, and he sort of talks about like, he's like, oh, like this ruin was once the source of a great mystery or whatever else, and they always look quite familiar. Like one of the temples that I saw reminded me of something from Ocarina, and I was just like, I wonder if they're going to do some sort of origin story for all the links. Like, I don't know. But yeah, so most of the iconography they've got is this sort of mix of like old and new. It's like fantasy style. You've got, like swords and sorcery and shields and stuff, but then sort of technology as well. Like there are like spires and towers that sort of have mystical energy within them, but they look a bit more futuristic. Like they glow bright blue or they bright orange or whatever. It's a nice little art style. And in fact, Link has pretty much an iPhone on him at all times. Well, it's called the Seeker Stone, I think. You can zoom in on stuff like Far Cry style, or like it guides you to different like waypoints or whatever. So like that thing, it's weird. Like as you look at it and you're like, okay, they've given Link a phone, and it's like, sweet. But then at the same time, it's like, that doesn't really mesh with everything else they've got so far. But at the same time, yeah, that's a really cool addition.
To begin with, you were talking about the open world.
Yeah.
What was that like? So obviously there's this survival aspect, so I guess it's very kind of raw and kind of dangerous. And
well, that's the thing. You'd sort of think that they had all these meters in place to try and make you be more serious about it, but to be honest, like there's a really good feeling of sort of like being a bit mischievous in it.
Right.
Like I got given an axe at the very beginning. I just ran up to a tree and just like thought I'll just hit it, and it chopped it down with a perfect wedge through it.
Okay.
Tree fell down, tree rolled down the hill, like proper physics, like really good like Havoc style physics. And I saw a whole bunch of enemies next to some explosive barrels, and I just clocked there was like a monument with a big boulder on top of it, and my mind went, I'm going to push that down. I'm going to see if I can push that down the hill.
Right.
Ran up, pushed it down, everything blew up, and it just looked gorgeous. And I was just like, that thought process is something that you have from like GTA, Far Cry. It's a more open world, experimental sort of thought process, and you've never had that in Zelda before.
Okay.
And I just think you combine like that with the loot, with the like open world stuff, with all the different systems they're doing. It's so Moorish. Like I just can't wait to just get it and just live on it.
So overall, looking forward to it.
Very, very impressed. Like I think, yeah, they've listened to a lot of the feedback with Zelda in general. I think they've got some really cool little Easter eggs and references to stuff that I know way more hardcore fans than me are going to go like, holy crap, they're referencing X, Y, Z. So yeah, I was pretty blown away. It plays really well. It's exactly what the Wii U and the NX as well needs to get back on top. So yeah, it's brilliant. Really, really good.
Okay, so stick with What Culture Gaming for way more Gamescom coverage. I've been Peter from whatculture.com.
And I'm Scott from whatculture.com.
And we'll see you next time.